How are we doing? Where are we starting?
So from the first event in Newcastle last year to this one, what's the biggest difference you noticed?
The biggest difference, man. I, I think the biggest difference is what people they know what to expect with the PFL. They know the kind of events we're putting on and the kind of fights that we put together. Like this whole fight card, I've been very proud of it, and it's been difficult to keep these fights together. I've had so many replacements over these past 2 weeks. Honestly, it's been ridiculous. But the one thing that is for sure is everyone knows what the PFL is now from 2023. 2024, I've got fighters contacting me constantly, managers, coaches, can I get a spot on a card? So ultimately, I'm going to need more events. We did 4 last year, we're doing 4 this year. It's just not enough. We need more fights, more events in Europe because there are so many good fighters out there, and I want to be signing them every week. You've seen some of the stars that we had on this show tonight. There are lots more out there for me to discover.
Yeah, so does that take a bit of work off your back that people are reaching out to you, or does it give you more work? Because in the beginning, you had to scout everyone that you wanted to do.
Yeah, it does make it a lot easier, to be honest. I mean, especially given the fact that when we announced the cards, like we're going to Glasgow, September 28th. I've got the main and co-main event sorted out. I could book another 30 fights on the card now with all the people that have messaged me. Please get me on that card. Like even amateurs, now they know that we've had, Biagio, Ali Walsh, Nate Kelly, amateurs on the card. Even amateurs are contacting me now and saying, can I get a run out? Can I get the PFL gloves? So it does make my life a little easier, but then at the same time, I have to turn fighters away because I don't have enough spaces for them, and I don't like doing that.
Obviously, the acquisition of Bellator is huge. And what influence does that have on your planning for PFL Europe?
So Bellator at the moment is trying to find its feet as a different product. The thing with Bellator, they've got so many solid fighters, world-class fighters. We occupy a slightly different space with PFL Europe. I'm looking for European prospects, people that will eventually transition over to the championship fights in Bellator or the global roster, or even further. I mean, we've signed Mardi GZ. He was here tonight. He's going straight onto the global roster. What a great addition. But he could quite easily step over onto a Bellator card as well. So it's almost like this is a platform that's got several different routes out of it. Bellator being one of them, the PFL global roster being one of them. Simeon Powell, who had a lot of success with us last year, he's fighting in Dublin in a couple of weeks coming up with another PFL fighter, Abdel Rami. So I like this fluidity, this movement from one promotion to the next. But ultimately, the regional shows, PFL Europe, PFL MENA, these will all be the launching platforms into the major promotions that we've got.
For me, you said it was hard to keep some matchups together. There's always people pulling out. This time I noticed there's a strawweight that went up to flyweight as a short notice replacement. Is that a conscious decision to have people from the lower weight class go up so that they can still make weight?
No, so Carolina was brought in as the alternate. So I had all 8 fighters locked in for the female flyweight division, and Carolina wanted to be the alternate. So we contracted her, and she was just coming to weigh in anyway. Now, of course, she is fighting up a weight class, but a record 11-5. She's got a lot of experience compared to these girls in this weight class. So it makes sense to kind of, what's the term, throw a cat among the pigeons, right? She's an interesting person to put in because she's smaller, she's faster, she's very, very aggressive, she's fought at the top level for world titles. So, she's an interesting addition to this. And then you've got Chanel on the other end of the bracket, 5-0. You've got to think that if she's going to be challenging someone that's got so many fights like Carolina, it's going to give her new things to think about. I mean, I don't mind too much people moving up and down weight classes. As long as the person can make weight and make weight healthily, if they're fighting up a weight class, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Especially with this format, you've got to be fighting regularly. So these fighters are going to be fighting 2 more times this year, so they're going to have to make weight 2 more times. And Caroline, it's going to be a bit easier for her because she's not going to cut as much as these girls.
Well, it's a great night of fights. Is there any particular fight or performance that stood out tonight?
Oh man, it's difficult to pick one out. I mean, honestly, well, Ibrahim and Ibrahimov, to go through Josh Reed like that, I just don't see people do it. He's had some of the best fights, that we've had on domestic soil. Ibra just cut through him like a hot knife through butter. It was terrifying to watch, and that is the next generation of the PFL fighters. Same thing with Jack Grant, right? He had a really tough fight against the Lazy King in Paris. He wasn't in the bracket. He wanted the opportunity, and we had fallout, so he got the opportunity to step in. 40 seconds later, he suplexed his man. He's TKO'd him on the floor, and he's secured his place in the playoffs in Glasgow. there's just so many positive stories coming out of these things. You know what I mean? And even the other one as well. I mean, like one of the most interesting matchups for me was Mark Ewan against Claudio Pachea, because we saw what Claudio was able to do in Paris against Patrick Habirora, who is another superstar, another talent. Mark Ewan, loads of people really excited about him, but he just wasn't able to get it done tonight. I mean, Claudio looked really good. All of the fights on these cards are evenly matched, and that's what makes me enjoy them as a fan, because I can sit there and you saw me with the Glasgow main event. I mean, Stevie Ray against Lou Long. I'm excited as a fan to see that, because it's a fascinating matchup between the two. So it's just pleasure. Every day I get to do something cool. I get to match someone or sign someone, or give an opportunity to a fighter that might not get the opportunity otherwise.
You've been around the sport for so long. You've been around different organisations. What have you enjoyed most about your time at PFL?
Man, that's a good question. I think the ferocity with the growth of the company, that's what I'm really enjoying. A lot of other organizations, they kind of find their rhythm and they stick with that rhythm, and they're like, this is who we are, this is our identity. The PFL is not that. Since I joined, I mean, we've bought Bellator, we've set up another regional league with the PFL MENA. We've got other leagues starting up very soon. We're already talking, like Martin Casey signed to compete with the global season, but he's also, part of the reason why he signed is because he wants to be integral in the setting up of the Africa League, which is fantastic. You know what I mean? It's growth in every single direction of the promotion at the moment, and to be a part of that and to try and instigate some of that positive change, it's just really exciting.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Nice. Just a quick one. Obviously, you talked about some struggles in matchmaking as well. You have alternatives for some of the tournaments, but do you have to now get alternatives just for normal showcase bouts as well? How does that play about?
It's something that we're going to have to tackle this week coming up. I mean, we had 4 alternates that we've used for the bantamweight division. Like, if I'm trying to find alternates for all of the showcase fights on the card, then we're going to have 60 people weighing in. Do you know what I mean? It's because of the format, we have to make sure that we've got people there. And, we use all of our bantamweight alternates. Aiton De Pepe wasn't able to fight. Dean Garnett gets the bye. We don't like the bye. I like people to be challenged to step into that next bracket. But it's something that, with the format, we just have to plan ahead and have people that are, A, going to show up, B, be healthy when they weigh in, and C, be willing to throw down against anybody in the bracket. Because that's the other thing. Like, you might have an opponent pull out. You've been training for that person for 8 weeks. There's your alternate. Get stuck in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some fighters don't like those kind of things. They like to know what they're dealing with in front of them. And this is not that format. You've got to show up with your best skill set and deal with whatever problems in front of you.
That's true. I've heard some rumours about a flyweight tournament as well. Is that any of that rumours true? Is that going to happen this year, next year, or?
I'm working on a few things for next year. I'm not sure exactly what divisions we're going to do. Of course, we'll do some of the brackets that we've done this year. I would imagine some of these fighters that have been competing this time around will return and try again if they were unsuccessful. And some of the showcase fighters will step into the brackets as well and try and contend for the European title. But ultimately, we need more shows. We need more shows. We need more weight divisions. And we need more activity for these fighters. I'm looking across Europe at the right weight classes to do. Because what I don't want is one standout person that everyone feels is going to win the whole thing. I want a bracket that's got 8 killers in it that can all take that belt at the end of the year. So the challenge is to find the right weight class that's got enough talent in it to make it competitive.
Nice. And just a couple of really quick ones.
Sure.
Firstly, Khurshed Kakarov. Obviously, we know the format of PFL Europe is that the champion goes to the Global League. We know that the Global League doesn't have a bantamweight title. We spoke to him about it before. Obviously, he said he was a bit disappointed. How is that playing out, and what are you going to do about it in the future, really?
Well, again, we're going to need a bantamweight division on the global format for sure. But at the same time, if Khurshed wins the belt a second time around, it might be a possibility for him to step into Bellator and challenge for that title. We've got other options here for different weight classes. So, I mean, ultimately, what we want is a global format with all of the weight classes so everyone's accommodated.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, I'm glad that Khurshed's come back, because he's like the level set for this division. And Thomas gave him a hell of a fight tonight.
Yeah.
Dean Garnett's going to give him a hell of a fight September 28th. Khurshed is going to show that the level of PFL Europe is consistent, and he's going to have to fight really hard to get that belt back again. Yeah. So, another year in PFL Europe, a bit more experience, he might be ready to take 2 belts and become the first fighter on the global bantamweight division.
That'd be good. And then the last one, sorry, you've mentioned Patrick Habirora as well. last time I saw him, he was on Aries. What's the situation there? Is he still with PFL? Are we still going to see him in the jersey, or what's going on?
Patrick's fought with the PFL now. He's always going to be a part of the PFL family. And Aries is a great show. My wife will be commentating on his fights on Aries as well, so I'll be looking forward to that. Look, Patrick's a very, very special fighter. He's right at the beginning of his career. We'll see him in the PFL cage again. I know that for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing him with those gloves on again because, my goodness, when he lets his hands go, he's scary.
Cheers, congratulations on the breakdown.
Marshall versus Queensbury recently. I'm just wondering, is there any chance of ever seeing PFL Europe versus KSW, for example, or PFL Europe against Optimum, something like that?
Look, I'm not against any of these things. I'm a no politics kind of guy. Like, I don't mind people moving from one organization to another. That, for me, I just want to see the best fights, right? If there's another organization out there that wants to pit their champions against ours, then I don't see why we won't consider that. I'm confident with our roster. I'm confident with our roster against any fighters in the world, no matter what organization they're with. And I think the more we develop, the more we grow, the more fighters we recruit to the PFL, the more those conversations are going to open up because it gives us more strength in the marketplace.
The KSW star Saladin Parnas was a free agent a few days ago. Were you in the market for that?
Yeah, we were talking to Saladin. Look, he's got such a good fan base in Poland. It's difficult to take people out of that. They have to really want to leave that environment where they are a superstar. Saladin Parnas is an absolute superstar. He's a very, very dangerous fighter. But the thing is with PFL, we've seen it with Doumbé, right? We've had a couple of fights with him in France. He's going to be moving outside of France soon. The world wants to see Cedric Doumbé. But these fighters need to want to go outside and fight for fans around the world. If you get stuck in the same spot and you keep fighting the same, I don't know. I just like Gamrot, for example, right? Gamrot could have decided to stay with KSW and make loads and loads of money, but he didn't want to. He wanted to find that platform where he could get that notoriety. That's ultimately what I'm looking for. I want fighters that want to be world champions. They want to tell everybody in the world that they're the best and take on all comers. And I'm hoping at some point we get Saladin to come over and join us. But right now, he's got a home with KSW, and I'll just enjoy his fights over there as a fan for right now. Hopefully one day. Thanks.
Fight Talk 24/7. Dean, you touched on Ibrahimov. We didn't give us enough time to break down that fight or even see a glimpse of. I've seen him on the regional scenes. I'm guessing you have, and that's the reason why you signed him. Do you have any words for him? And in your opinion, how quick and when will he become a world champion?
Man, look, he's on a very, very fast track. The challenge really is going to be finding opponents for him. Josh Reed's an incredibly tough individual. Most people wouldn't want to step in and fight someone like Ibra. I've got a few ideas in my mind of who I'm going to call to try and match him up against next, and they are very, very strong grapplers, great takedown defense. So we're going to be challenging him. I'm going to see what his undefeated record looks like in 6 months' time, and that will determine how fast he becomes a world champion. But ultimately, it's in his destiny. I think we can all agree with that. He's a special fighter.
And he has a friend called Umar Khan. I don't know if you've heard of him or seen him with a 5-second KO, viral KO. Have you ever thought about signing him as well? And they come as a package, they're from the same team, same clan of people. Do you fancy bringing him on PFL and maybe getting him on the show?
So, inside my gym at home, most of you will have seen my gym on my Instagram. I have a load of whiteboards out of the spot that you don't see, and I've got names and names of fighters. His name is on that list. It's been on that list for a while.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few amateurs on there as well that I'm looking to sign as soon as they're ready to step up.
Just to let you know, he's come back from Russia a couple of days ago. He's just spoke to us and he's ready to go and he's ready to go.
Oh, right.
So if you want, you know who to contact.
That's on my number. Let's sort that out.
Yeah, cool. Not a problem. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Any more?
I apologise for the late mistake.
No problem.
Debut. Just want to get your thoughts specifically on takedown defense there. And you want to see more takedown offense from her, considering she's come from the boxing world, she's been learning the MMA side. So do you want to see that part of her offense there tonight?
I honestly don't think I did know. What I wanted to see from Savannah is her ability to utilize her phenomenal boxing skills in MMA. We know how tremendous a punching power that she's got, and in the 4-ounce gloves, it makes her even more dangerous. What I don't want is someone to now all of a sudden think, I've got all these MMA skills and I'm going to start throwing them at my opponent. Now, what I will say is if Savannah wants to come out and show her MMA skills against Clarissa Shields, I think that'd be very interesting. because we could see a grappling match between two of the best boxers in women's boxing. But I thought she showed a really, really good performance today across mixed martial arts. Yeah, she got taken down a couple of times, but straight away she's overhooking, she's building frames, she's building herself back up to her feet. She was able to defend that arm triangle, which was very, very tight at one point. And, I could see her corner team were concerned. They're like, they're in the corner, like there was a very, very tight arm triangle, and she knew what to do to get out of it. That gives me a lot of confidence that she's doing the right things in the gym. And ultimately, it's going to get to the stage where she's going to want to show people her other skills. She keeps saying the same thing to me. I can't wait to choke Clarissa out. So I think that might be the first time we're going to see her really show her mixed martial arts game against her old rival.
Who had the better debut, Savannah or Clarissa?
Savannah, 100%.
Who do you favour in the fight now that you've seen both of them?
It's a good question. You see, the thing is, Clarissa's got that head start, and she showed good submission defense in her last fight. She's now starting to really find her range with her boxing. But for me, Savannah's already got that range in mixed martial arts for her boxing. I could see that with her footwork. She wasn't crowding her work. Clarissa crowded her work a little bit in her last fight. I didn't see Savannah do that at all. Now, of course, different opponents, we're going to get different reactions, different results. But I was saying it, and I've said it to a bunch of you guys as well. Savannah's style of boxing is far more suited to mixed martial arts than a lot of other boxers because she's heavy front foot, she's a power puncher, and she's aggressive. I can see her easily transitioning to mixed martial arts and maintaining a lot of the same boxing skills that she's got. And now we've seen her with her submission defense, with her scrambling ability. It's going to give her more confidence to let her hands go. And when she starts finding those body shots that we were seeing when she was boxing, you can't take a 4-ounce glove to the liver and stay standing. Thanks. All good.